Like the video, subscribe to the channel, squad. We're back with another reaction, this time from the homie Ant CEO. If you guys aren't familiar with his channel, great content. I actually found his channel from watching Tariq Nasheed. Make sure y'all go over there and subscribe to his channels. He killing it over there.
I have a question. Why do men think a woman should do wifely duties prior to marriage? I'm not sure if you or one of the ones who made that suggestion, but I've heard that a lot where some men think a woman should do wifely duties prior to marriage. Me personally, I don't really agree with that because I think it can backfire on the woman. But why do some men think that?
Well, first, I'm not going to answer a question with a question. I'm going to answer your question and then I'm going to give you a question. Number one, because it's the most logical way to go about it. If you're trying to be a wife, the best way to know if you're wife material is to show wifey qualities. And my question to you is, why does the logic never apply on the flip side? So if you believe that a woman should not be a wife or show values or behaviors or characteristics of a wife before she becomes a wife, why does the logic never apply on the male side? So why does the husband, the not husband yet, why does he have to show husband qualities before he becomes a husband? By the way, husband qualities is showing protection and provision. That's husband qualities. So paying for the first date, going out, keeping you protected and safe, doing it consistently, making sure that I'm a leader and I'm making good decisions, making sure that I show you that I can teach you certain things like wisdom and give you knowledge and game, showing my value. All of that is husband quality. So if the logic is on your end where women should not do anything like that a wife would do before they become a wife, then what are you saying on the flip side for a man? And I want you to go deeper into it. I want you to apply this logic to your son. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Why doesn't it apply on the flip side? I would definitely say, or something
Just
that
for
I'm thinking about.
you, since you said that you believe that the wife should not do that, I'm asking for you specifically. Why do you believe it? And would you use the logic to your son?
Well, I've seen stories
No, I'm
where,
asking you. I'm not asking about nobody else but you. What's your name? Blue Butterflies 97. Don't give me no example, story. I want to know your answer since you brought this up. I'm asking you. You want my specific answer? I want to know your specific answer. Don't give me another story. Don't give me what somebody else said. What are you saying? What's your belief?
well, me personally, I just don't want to get played.
You didn't answer my question. I didn't ask you about not getting played. I asked you why does the logic or does the logic never apply on the flip side? I gave you examples of a man who would show husband qualities before he became a husband. And I gave you the example and I told you to does the logic also apply to your son?
And see, here's the problem right here, and I've said this before. A lot of women lack critical thinking. A lot of men lack it as well, but a lot of women lack critical thinking. And what I mean is that they're just surface level thinkers. Her whole point was that a woman shouldn't do wifely duties for a man until they're married. Okay, cool. And Ant, using logic, just flipped it on her. Okay, well, why is it that it's expected for men to do husband duties when they're not husbands yet? And it's just, because she never thought that far. She only thought from a surface level in which it's a selfish level and it's women shouldn't do wifely duties until they're married, but never thought for a second why men are expected to do husband duties without being a husband. They never take the time to think
Does
like
the
that.
logic also apply
That was the
to my?
second question. The first question was the first one. You have to answer the first one and then the second one.
I'm losing my train of thought.
Yeah. You're losing your train of thought, not because you're not intelligent enough to keep up with me. I think that you are. You lose because you losing your train of thought is because the logic only applies on the female side, which is what you usually hear from women like yourself. So you want a woman to not be a wife before she becomes a wife, but the husband has to be a husband before he becomes a husband. So it's the picking and choosing for the same people that say that y'all want equality and men and women are the same, which doesn't make any sense to me.
No, and they don't want equality. They want
But there's
equality when
just
they pick
certain
it.
aspects, for example, living together, cooking, cleaning, doing his laundry, just things of that nature. I felt that, those, basic things should be rewarded and applied during marriage. But you're gonna ask me, why doesn't it apply on the flip side? I was gonna say because the woman is a prize that he gets down, on one knee, for her. But I honestly just don't think that, the answer that I'm giving and articulating is just gonna be, enough.
It's
Because
not
Because it's a bullshit reason.
not enough. It's just not logical, even in what you said. Again, does the logic apply with your son? Hey, mom, blue butterfly. Hey, mom, I've been dealing with this girl. She said that she's not going to do anything to show me that she's a wife before marriage. But I've been paying for things. I've been keeping her safe when we go out. I've been making sure she got what she need. I helped her get a new job. We we've been doing everything, and I've been doing my part as a husband. And she wants to be my husband, but she hasn't cooked, she hasn't cleaned, she's not feminine, she's not soft, she doesn't listen, she don't do nothing. Would you tell your son to marry that woman? Yes or no? Because, like you said, she the prize, and he should get on the knee regardless.
Okay, I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna say no, but
So why does the logic apply not to your son, but the logic got to apply for everybody else? Because all the women in here, some of them women got sons. There's other women out here in the world got sons. So the same son that you feel for the same way you feel for your son, other women feel for their son. So why they sons got to suffer, but yours don't?
yeah, but you said she didn't do anything.
No wife duty. Yeah, anything that got to do with being a wife. That's what you said. So I'm just using what you said. Anything that got to do with being a wife. The stuff that I mentioned was stuff that got to do with a wife. So why does the logic apply with your son, but not with everybody else in their son?
That's a simple question.
I said everything. Wow. I thought
Huh?
no, because
No, she said wife duties, but she didn't specify what those wife duties exactly were. Now I think that she's just kind of arguing semantics at this point, but I could be wrong. But I just think this woman bit off more than she could chew as far as trying to have an intellectual conversation with Ant, even though Ant is definitely a smart dude, but he's hitting her with basic logic, and she's stuck, and she's kind of dumbfounded by that. But this goes to a comment I just read under Ant's video right here. They are too comfortable with just saying shit without thinking about if it actually makes sense. And that's spot on, man. Women have no problem getting online and just saying foolishness or attempting to debate and argue and make points against other people when there's no logic behind their comments or complaints. It's just how I feel. Well, you have to kind of back that up logically, but so many of them don't think past that first step, that surface level thinking of just, I feel this way. Now, the next step critically would be, okay, let me try to articulate my point using logic.
You said everything. I was thinking to myself, I said, wow, I said everything, but
I said no wife. Everything got to do with being a wife. That means submit the things that you would attribute to what a wife would do for her husband. Like, and you even mentioned some of them: cooking, cleaning. I would include sex. Well, it should be. Y'all be fucking well before marriage, but cooking, cleaning, sex, submission, listening to what he gotta say, obeying things and obeying his word. All of those things. I can mention a whole bunch more of them. If your son told you that there's a woman that he with and they've been together for a year and she ain't did none of that shit, but this whole time he's been paying for stuff, he's been leading, he's been faithful, he's been loving, he's been protecting. Would you tell your son to marry that woman? You said no. And then I asked you, okay, so why is your son so special and not all the women and their sons? Because your son ain't gonna be the only man out here in this world. I ain't even telling you that you wrong. I ain't even said anything was wrong with what you said. All I'm doing is applying your logic on the flip side, and you stuck. And you stuck because you have a gender bias.
Exactly.
I think a man should show he a husband before he become a husband, same logic for the wife. You got a full gender bias because you have an innate hatred towards men because society is teaching you that. Older women with no man is teaching you that, and the internet is teaching you that. This motherfucker right here. So I'm trying to pull you out of that indoctrination.
Great point. I hadn't made it this far in the video yet, so I'm blind reacting from this point. That's a great point. I'll even go a step further. It may not even necessarily be a hatred for men, even though they are getting programmed by social media. But it's just the fact that they think they shouldn't have to do anything for a man. They are perfectly fine with relationships being one-sided when the man does everything and the woman doesn't have to do anything. And the reason she doesn't have to do anything goes back to what she said earlier, because women are the prize. And some women are foolish enough to think that just because they have a vagina and men want sex, they shouldn't have to do anything else. They shouldn't have to bring anything else to the table besides they cat.
But you still ain't answering my question, though.
I feel as though,
Now,
like,
I want
even
to
if
know how you feel. Give me some logic. Your feelings, I ain't here to argue your feelings. I ain't arguing my feelings. Give me some logic. Why is your son special and nobody else's son special?
She done.
And stop looking at the chat.
no, I'm not looking at the chat. My laptop is here. I was looking at my laptop. I was gonna say it's just not gonna be enough. So it's just not gonna say anything at all.
So you don't have an answer? Okay. Now let me ask you this. Are you gonna keep the mentality that you got even though you don't have a logical way to debunk it? Or a logical not to debunk it. You don't have a logical response to defend it. You gonna still keep your response that the woman should just be whatever because she the prize,
That's a good
while the
question.
man does everything because he's just not the prize.
Good question.
No, I felt as though, I think it's my fault I didn't clearly articulate it. I didn't feel that she should do all of the duties, just do some of it and then reserve it for marriage.
That's not what you said. So now you moving the goalpost.
Sometimes I kind of.
So what are these things? Mention them. Name them.
One of the things that you said, was femininity. I thought that was just a given that, as women, we should already be able to, exude that feminine energy and then just.
True. So. Okay, what about all the other stuff?
The cooking, I guess she can cook, but not. I'm like seeing it from your perspective, but just not.
She can cook a little bit. She can make you a sandwich, but don't make you a Thanksgiving dinner.
As often.
Why not? Why not?
Because I feel as though he's already.
Another feelings argument.
He's getting that luxury. When you get married, he should just, experience those things. He's already getting that, that wifely benefit.
Okay, so okay, cool, great. So should I just sometimes protect you if me and you go out? Let's say I'm a hypothetical man. Let's say we go out 2 times a week. Should I just protect you half the time? So if somebody walk up and grab your ass, or somebody bump into you, should I just pay for the stuff half the time? Should I just put you on the inside of the street half the time? Should I hold the door for you half the time? Should I make sure that you sit down first and make sure my back is away is away from the door so I can make sure that it's protected behind you? Should I just do that half the time? And the other half is right. It shouldn't happen because it's a luxury. Like, what do I withhold as a man?
Seeing it, this is why, I'm here. I'm going to ask that question because I'm seeing it differently from your perspective. Like, you flipped it. You said, okay, should you just do things half the time? Now, I see it differently now. No, you shouldn't. It's something that, you should always do. So that's something that I expect when he gets down on one knee and ties the knot.
I'll at least give that to her because she's admitting right now in the moment he's kind of swaying her line of thinking. I believe she's only really saying that because it's obvious to anybody watching. She really shouldn't be having this conversation because she's not able to logically articulate her points. But again, this is common sense stuff. It shouldn't have took Ant to tell her this to understand basic concepts like this.
I ain't getting that money, but so that's what you say.
So when he puts down on one knee and ties the knot.
No, I heard you. I ain't doing that, but I hear you. But that's neither here nor there. So now as far as your son though, so are you going? So just the final point, because you still said your son is special, but nobody else's son is special. So are you going to have the same mentality that you had before we had this conversation, even though you don't have a logical point to defend it? No. That's good.
I was mainly, yeah. When you said you don't want to hear anybody else's story, I was mainly, hearing it from other people's perspective on how they did those duties and then they it just didn't end well for them.
Couldn't the logic be applied on the flip side? Last time I checked, doing somebody wrong is not gender specific. Men get cheated on, men get lied to, men get abused, men get finessed, men get done dirty in relationships. Couldn't I use the same logic on the flip side? Hey fellas, don't pay for things, don't be loving and caring, don't protect your woman because she could suck somebody else's dick. So since it won't work out in the end, Just don't do nothing and just wait till she sees that you husband material and then marry her. Can I use the same logic on the flip side?
And that's a fact. And rest in peace to the Godfather, Kevin Savage. He used to talk about this. A lot of women date in fear, or they think, oh, here's worst case scenario. They go into situations already thinking the worst. But also, this point, and this is a point I've made on my channel several times, is that there's risk in dating. That's really what it boils down to. Because what she said earlier was you don't want to get burnt as far as doing wifely duties for a dude and he breaks up with you and now all those things you've done have been wasted. There's risk in a lot of things, and dating is not an exception from that. There's risk in dating. You can be with a man for years, do everything that you think is right. He tell you he loves you, want to be with you. A year or two down the line, he breaks up with you and moves on to someone else. It sucks, but that's the reality of dating. There's risk involved. And when women go online and talk about how they shouldn't do this because this could happen and everything is based out of fear, my question is this, and Ant kind of alluded to it right now. You don't think that same thing happens to men? Women talk about men being dogs and men cheating and men breaking their hearts. You don't think that there's men who have had their hearts broken by women? Who have been cheated on, those same terrible things that men have done to women, that women to men? That's absurd. There's going to be risk in dating. If you're a grown-ass adult still putting your toe in the dating market, but you're so concerned about being hurt or somebody playing you, you either need to buy a dog or grow the fuck up and realize that there's risk in dating. Hearts get broken all the time. That's part of it.
Yeah, you could, but I was just more so focused on the woman's side. But yeah.
Well, I think that's the problem. I'm not focused on any side. I'm saying that both of these sides can deal with things, but that's the risk that you take when you date. If I'm applying for school and I'm trying to get into a university, I'm not going to do half of the work. Because what if I do all the work and I fail? I'm going to do all the work because this is the chance that you take when you go into school, because the end goal is to graduate. If I'm going to work and I have a job, I'm not going to do half of the shit that my boss told me to do. I'm going to do everything because I still want to get paid and I want to keep my job. Well, what if the job go bankrupt? What if I get fired? What if they start downsizing? It don't matter. This is a risk that you take. I'm not going to do half the speed limit if I'm driving in a car, going on the freeway, because the faster I go, I'm going to get into an accident. Yeah, but you trust the fact that you're going to learn how to drive your car straight, put your seatbelt on, and you do things to limit the possibility you get into an accident. So if the logic can apply in all those other aspects, then the logic should apply in relationships as well. But for whatever reason, the logic don't apply for relationships because we got to just play women's side because women are the prize. That's some stupid shit.
Yeah, just taking what you said as pertaining to go all the way and not halfway. Like you said with school and work. That mentality of, well, what if I fail anyway? I should just have asset. But yeah, I'm gonna look at it from, a different perspective now.
Do you have brothers?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you want your brothers to have the same mentality as that you had before?
It's not. Yeah. I mean, no. I was gonna.
I hope no. Yeah, you wouldn't want your brothers to do that. So I'm making a point to say that a lot of women like yourself have that mentality, and it's really messed up because you're young, and a lot of the times that mentality that you got come from you just hearing conversations of people that's bitter and hurt. So you start internalizing somebody else's trauma that you ain't even been through. That ain't.
I agree 1,000%.
To say that you ain't never been through nothing. That ain't to say the man that never lied to you did you dirty, but you way too young to have that much hatred or have that much of like a negative disposition towards a man. You feel me? Like you shouldn't think like that. So what I want you to do is I want you to everything that you hear from these bitter older women who you probably be listening to, you need to start hearing what they saying and apply it on a logical basis. That's why I stopped you when you were saying I feel like, or I want to give you the example of these other people. Where's your example in your own life? And even if you did use your own life, how does the logic apply logically if I put you as a man in the same situation? It don't work. So it's like, I want you to start thinking twice about the shit that you hear and stop internalizing other people's trauma because that's not good for you, sweetheart. You too young and too pretty to even be thinking like that. Way too young.
Yeah, I have to change the content and the people that I'm listening to because I definitely did, internalize that perspective. That isn't, I don't think that meant that, or if I gave off the fact that, I hated men, I didn't think I'd give off that perspective, but yeah, I cannot. I just have to change who I listen to. If I pause, I get a little bit just like a little bit of anxiety and but yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna go to the next person, but good luck to you, and I appreciate you coming up, appreciate you listening, and hopefully you change your mentality.
Kudos to her. She actually acknowledged her bias and then also realized, and I've said that before as well, sometimes people just consume the wrong content. They look at that content. Ant makes a great point about internalizing trauma that you've never dealt with personally. I've heard KS talk about that as well. They're online listening to all these women complaining and telling horrible stories about men, while women never actually hear those same men's sides of the story, but be that as it may. And I originally was going to say, because I watched the first half of the video, I didn't watch the whole thing before I reacted to it. I was going to say, I don't think this chick was intelligent enough to really be having this conversation. But no, I take that back. I don't think she was able to articulate her points as thoroughly as some people would have liked. But the fact that she's willing and open to listen and changing her mind and saying, hey, I think maybe I've been listening to the wrong type people, I think that's good enough. And her also realizing I bit off a little bit more than I could chew during this interview. But hey, what the hell do I know? It's the Weed Head talking on YouTube. You guys let me know what you think after party in the comments. It's Commander Theo Coop Pachuki.
Call me bitches.
You better squad. Hola.
Excuse me, bitches?